What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD Mobile video. So today we are going to be reviewing the Black Ops 4 mode that made its way yesterday into COD Mobile, because this is probably one of the most interesting modes that I think COD Mobile has received in a pretty long time. And we've received a lot of different unique modes, such as the Limitless Potential, where you could slide at longer ranges, or you could, jump really high and continue to shoot people. We had the wall running mode, and we've also had the night vision modes, which were all very unique modes in and of itself. But this one is a little bit more different because it kind of fundamentally changes the game and how it works. A few weeks ago, I did talk about this mode when it was getting leaked, and I was kind of skeptical about it because I didn't really think that they were going to put in a lot of effort into this mode. I thought it was just going to be, the same 100 health with just Black Ops weapons and just this, the operator skills that we all know and love. But no, they actually kept this mode as faithful as they actually can be. So again, I thought it was going to be more of a bare bones thing where we wouldn't have that 150 health thing and where we wouldn't have to manually heal. The weapons would still function the same. The only difference is that we'd be kind of just selecting which specialist we could use, and that's it. But again, they changed a lot of different things, all the way down to sound effects and even weapon balancing. So before I actually upload this video, I considered doing it yesterday, but I actually wanted to take some time to actually learn everything that I need to learn about this mode, how every specialist works, how all the weapons are balanced and everything. Just so mainly I could give you guys an accurate view on how all these specialists work and how I actually think of the mode, since I have full knowledge of it already. So the first thing I guess I should probably discuss first is how the mode works fundamentally. So like I said, the weapon balance is a lot more differently, and it's to kind of help with the extra health that we actually have. Because usually in normal COD Mobile modes, we normally have 100 health. But in this mode, we have 150 health. So the weapons are actually balanced a lot more differently than they would normally be. But it does come with its downsides. So since you have to be pouring a lot more shots into the enemy, you have to be careful with how you approach gunfights now, because sometimes, and this is something that I have noticed a lot back in Black Ops 4, people will be actually bunched up together. So taking two people out at the same time is actually a lot harder than it normally would be if you were just in regular modes. That was actually one of the main reasons why I didn't like playing core back in Black Ops 4, mainly because people were always just bunched up together and I wasn't really ever able to keep a streak. And this applied to everyone that was playing the game. In Black Ops 4, you actually had to really think about approaching gunfights wisely because, again, you get jumped a lot. It didn't happen too often. There were a few games where I had to deal with that, but of course with COD Mobile, it works differently. I mean, we're used to kind of just going alone on our own, trying to find people to kill, but in Black Ops 4, it was differently. It worked differently because you had to deal with sometimes two people at once, and it was extremely difficult to do that. So now I do want to discuss the perks and I guess how the health works as well, because the perks, I mean, to be honest, there's really not much to say about the perks because they basically function the same way they do when you're just playing normal COD Mobile modes. But when it comes to the healing, yes, it's a little bit buggy at times, especially if you're a controller. Sometimes the healing works, sometimes the healing just doesn't work for whatever reason. I would press the right bumper, and for some reason it just wouldn't pull out the syringe and inject myself to get more health. I don't know why it did that. Sometimes I had to tap on the button just to heal myself. I don't know why it was like that. It was very inconsistent. The movement overall has not changed at all. It's basically the same as COD Mobile, so they kept that more or less, untouched. But also for the sounds, this is something that I did not expect them to do. So whenever you do kill someone, you would hear this blood splattering sound. This was kind of like the kill sound that Black Ops 4 had whenever you finish someone. And I think it's cool that they actually added that into the game, but unfortunately they didn't do that for the headshots for whatever reason. And also for the sound effects with the metal, it's also kind of weird too, because it also had this weird metallic sound whenever a metal came up in Black Ops 4. So I think they should have added that as well. But I will give them points for actually adding that death sound effect. Now let's actually talk about the specialists. So just in case you guys don't know, specialists, operators, they're basically the same thing. The only difference is that specialists were actually designated with a certain weapon. So for example, Battery would have War Machine, Spectre would have the samurai sword thing that you would always see. Torque had the little shield, the transform shield. And Firebreak would have the flamethrower. They were always assigned to like a certain, ability back in those games. But here in this game, they also have like their own different class setups. I mean, some of them have attachments on their guns, but I don't really know which ones they are, to be honest. So yes, every specialist has their own weapon that you can use. So for example, Crash would have Overkill with the Outlaw and the GKS, while Torque might have the Echo Fire mod, Maddox. And I think Seraph also had the Hades with the crossbar, and I think with Battery she had the ICR. So yeah, every specialist that you use has their own unique gun that is, I guess, catered to them. They have their own perks and other like miscellaneous abilities. So Battery has that little cluster grenade. That's something that she has always had. And for Fire Break, which is kind of a bit of a weird one and a little bit more annoying because he technically has like 2 operator skills. If you think about it, he has like that radiation thing that you put on the floor and it like kind of burns the surrounding area. I forgot the name of it, but he also has the purifier at the same time. It's kind of weird. Of course, they have like their own charging rate, so it's not like you could spam them. Even after you die, you had to wait for them to fully recharge. So thankfully, it doesn't go back to full charge after you die, because that would be extremely annoying. Prophet has the Tempest, but it also has that unique Black Ops 4 version of the Tempest. It still functions the same as it does in this game, but I mean, you guys should probably be grateful it's not the Tempest from Black Ops 4. That one was extremely annoying. Just in case you guys never played Black Ops 4, let me give you an idea. So basically, you don't have, like in Black Ops 4, when they had the Tempest, you didn't have to charge the shot. Like basically you could just fire at whoever you basically see, and it would kind of incapacitate them, where you would, kind of go down to your knees, kind of like how you do in Battle Royale when you run out of health. And basically you're kind of just screwed when that happens. Sometimes your life will be saved just in case someone does kill him before he kills you. But yeah, it was a really annoying operator skill back in the day. But I'm glad that COD Mobile has just decided to just go with the charge shot, because it would have been, trust me, you guys would not have liked it. And the thing too, like it was also a chain thing. So if someone was near that person that was incapacitated, that was being shocked, you would also get incapacitated too. So if that was in this game, that would always be the meta no matter what, especially in ranked. But you guys get the point. They have their own designated items, and for unlocking them, you had to like earn like these special challenge coins that you could use to unlock more of those specialists, which wasn't really hard to do. They were actually pretty cheap for what they were. So that actually is something that we do have to move on to as well, which is the reward. So it was cool, but at the same time, it kind of sucked after you got like the main stuff. So for example, once you got the Annihilator skin, the Flamethrower skin, as well as the, what's the other one? The War Machine. Once you got those skins, that was basically it. Like everything else was kind of worthless. You had like an animated frame, you had a little cheap animated calling card, and I guess you could just use the rest of the challenge tokens to buy some cash crates. And again, most of us are pretty much done at this point, so they're basically useless to us now. So yeah, I mean, we had those types of rewards, but they weren't even worth it. I think the main priority was just like the operator skills stuff. Like that was the only thing. If anything, for the operator skill skins, they probably should have made those a little bit more expensive, because they were only worth like 400, and it would probably take you about less than an hour to get all 3 of them. Also, one of the burning questions I had is that they had these skins for all these different operator skills, like for the Annihilator and everything, but they didn't have anything for the Tempest, which is kind of weird to me because they did have a completely different Tempest skin in this mode. So I don't know why they didn't bother to add that one. So now we move on to the balance of the game. So like I said, all the weapons and even operator skills are balanced very, very differently. But I'm gonna have to admit the balance is kind of off. Like a lot of it doesn't make any sense to me. The snipers were okay for the most part. I mean, they one-shot usually as they were supposed to. I'm actually surprised they didn't remove the aim assist, because that's one of the big things about snipers in Black Ops 4 is that there was no aim assist at all. So it was just like all you. Like you had to put in all the effort to kill the person. But when it came to just like the automatic weapons such as the MX9, Maddox, and even the ICR, it just felt very, very inconsistent. Like it felt like the logic of the balancing was like the opposite of what we have right now. So for example, like there are weapons in this mode that should be strong but aren't, but there are other weapons that shouldn't be strong but they actually are the most overpowered things in the world. The MX9 was a perfect example of that. So like if you faced someone up close with an MX9, you were basically screwed no matter what. And even if you had a Cordite, which was like another SMG, you would still lose pretty easily. I don't know why they made the MX9 in this mode extremely overpowered, but like I would say of all classes to use, or at least the worst one, was probably Battery. And like she was just bad across the board, even when it came to her operator skills, because you would literally direct impact the enemy with that, and they would not even die. Like that's how weak the War Machine was. And even for the ICR, since it shot so slow, it did also like very low damage in medium to like long range, and even in close range it wasn't really enough to compete with anything. The same thing also applied to the GKS from the Crash Specialist loadout, where like it only gave you 25 bullets, but the damage was so weak that it didn't even like it wouldn't even matter. But then we had stuff like the Maddox as well that was just actually really good. It had less recoil. I mean, it was very stable. Like the way that it's balanced in this mode is far different from how it's balanced in just normal multiplayer. It has a lot more recoil control, it has a lot more damage, just all that stuff. And the same thing could be said about the Peacekeeper. I would say of all weapons that changed the most, it had to be the Peacekeeper. So I've used the Peacekeeper for a long time, and I could tell you the attachments that were used on the Peacekeeper for the Ajax class, I knew the Task Force barrel was involved because, I mean, it wasn't the long barrel because it wasn't really that slow. And it also had the agency suppressor and everything. But man, yeah, like if you guys ever used the Peacekeeper in this game, obviously you would know that it has a lot of recoil, especially if you use the Task Force barrel. But in this mode, knowing that it has it on, it is extremely overpowered. Like it has no recoil at all. And not only that, the damage was incredible for some reason, but then it makes you question why the hell the ICR is balanced the way that it is, because like in medium ranges with the ICR you're doing like maybe 28 damage, but for some reason medium ranges with the Peacekeeper that's already stable, that has a fast fire rate, has like it does like 34 damage across the map. So it's like, what the fuck is this balancing? But another weapon I do want to discuss as well in terms of balancing is the Outlaw. So the Outlaw, if you guys know, sucks ass. No one really wants to use the Outlaw ever when it comes to normal COD Mobile. But in this mode, it is far stronger than what it normally is. In normal COD Mobile, you have to just like shoot them on like the chest, you know, the top part of the body in order to actually get a one shot. In this mode, you could just shoot in the legs, you could shoot in the stomach, it won't even matter, you'll get that one shot, and you could even collap people, maybe even better than you would if you had a DLQ. The same thing goes for the Koshka. That was another sniper that was part of this mode as well, and it basically did the same thing. Like, snipers were extremely dominant, and again, that's probably because they didn't remove aim assist, but yeah, snipers were probably the best class setups to even use in this mode. As for the Hades class setup, it did have the crossbar, and it was part of, I think, the Seraph specialist loadout. It actually wasn't that bad. I mean, if anything, I would say the Hades was probably like the only weapon that was balanced properly. It had vertical recoil, sure, but other than that, I mean, I really had no complaints with that weapon. It was decent all around. The Cordite class, I think that belonged to Firebreak. I mean, it's all right at times. It does have a bit of recoil, more so than it normally does. But other than that, I mean, it did its job okay. But I would say like the two worst weapons definitely by far were the ICR and the GKS. Those were like just the two shittiest weapons that you could use in this mode. Also, when it comes to the operator skills, I mean, they were a lot more limited than they usually are in normal modes. So like, for example, Firebreak, it didn't give you enough like fuel really to kill a lot of people, especially if you have like 150 health. It would actually take a little bit longer, which I guess made the challenge a little bit more interesting, because like to earn more coins, you actually had to like get a certain amount of kills with different abilities to actually get more of those things. So for example, with Firebreak, you had to kill like 15 people. With Ajax, you had to use that ballistic shield and kill 30 people, which arguably is probably the hardest operator skill challenge that there was. The other ones were pretty easy. Like, for example, Seraph would allow you to, well, basically you had to like call in the tac deploy beacon like 10 times, which wasn't really that hard because it charged fast. But yeah, the Ajax one is definitely the hardest one to use because it gives you like, I think 30 bullets and that's it. And it only does like maybe 25 damage. So you have to like really hit them a lot in order to even kill them. But also, there were some operators, or I guess specialists, that were kind of left behind, such as Ruin, and I think also Outrider, because they were actually supposed to be part of this too. They were part of that game. Of course, they can't. I think Ruin was actually part of the initial Black Ops 4, like when it first launched, but I think Outrider was like a DLC, which it wouldn't really make any sense because Spectre was also something that came later on in one of the seasons of Black Ops 6. I think it came out like in season 4. They had like different events. I mean, you know, now in normal Call of Duty, they just call seasons for what they are. It's just season 1, season 2. But in Black Ops 4, they actually had names for it. Like they would have Operation Absolute Zero. They would have Operation Grand Heist. They would also have Operation Spectre Rising, which basically where Spectre came from. Keep in mind, this came during a time when they actually gave a shit about naming the seasons. So yeah, but for some reason they decided to leave Ruin and Outrider out for whatever reason. I mean, they were supposed to be part of it as well, but yeah. Also, another complaint that I do have is the fact that they didn't let us customize anything. I mean, yes, you could restrict us to the Black Ops weapons, which is fine, but then again, I mean, there's not really a lot of Black Ops 4 weapons that are in this game currently, but they could have at least let us customize the gun skins, you know? Like, if you have a legendary for a Maddox, at least let us apply that or something. It just, like, the mode felt very, very bare bones. It kind of felt like I was just playing, like, a beta of, like, a different Call of Duty game, if anything. And if they were going to restrict us with, like, what weapons we can use, at least let us, like, kind of make the gun the way that we see fit or something, you know? Like, maybe let us customize the gunsmith for those weapons. Like, I wouldn't have minded that, but yeah, just like, again, this whole mode felt very bare bones because just like you couldn't put any skins on, you couldn't do anything. But it's probably like that by design. It's supposed to like challenge you, making you use stuff that you're normally not used to, or you know, use stuff that like normally would be easy, but now they're a lot more challenging to use. So I guess by design, it's supposed to be like that. But it is a fun mode. The fact that they even changed the HUD is actually pretty crazy. The sound effects. I forgot to mention also, like, if you do get killed by a sniper, it has that little cockback sound, or like that little chambering sound. That's something that Black Ops 4 had, and it was like, yeah, it got annoying getting killed by snipers, though it always felt so clean to hear that. But yeah, I would say this mode is actually very fun. But the only main complaints I have is just the weird balancing and just the fact that there's not really a lot of rewards, or at least there's a lot less than I thought there would be. You know, they don't have like an operator skill skin for, you know, the Tempest. You know, they didn't bring in Ruin, or they didn't bring in what's her name, Outrider with the Sparrow. So I always thought that was kind of weird. But yeah, other than that, I mean, this mode's pretty fun. I've seen like how it's getting some decent online reception where a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's a fun mode to play. It does get a little bit repetitive because some of the challenges do take a while. So for example, like Crash would take like about 5 games because it'll only let you use his ability like twice, and it required you to like call it in 10 times. So yeah, I mean, it did take a bit of time to like just finish everything. But again, I think the fundamental problem with the rewards was that they were too easy to unlock, especially when it came to the operator skill skins with the Annihilator and all that stuff. Like, I feel like they should have made them at least 1,000 each or something, because those are like really, really high quality skins for your operator skills. The only reason why I didn't like them cheap was just that it would kind of reduce the retention of, or I guess the reason to come back to this mode, because again, like, since they were just 400, and keep in mind these coins could be unlocked very easily, you only really had to play this mode for like maybe less than an hour and you get all 3 of them. It wasn't really that difficult. But other than that, you got nothing out of it. That's the only issue that I have. Again, it does change the game fundamentally, but again, there's no real reward for, you know, finishing all this stuff. It's just those 3 things, and like within an hour you're done. But yeah, this was an interesting concept to bring into this game. I enjoyed it for what it was. And yeah, anyways, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.